A teachable moment, which is sometimes referred to also as a reachable moment, is usually a point of crisis that happens in a young person's or young adult's life, which is an opportunity for services to actually start to talk to that person, because it may be the first time that they're willing to accept some support from someone. An example of these kind of moments can be when a young person is arrested by the police and they're in police custody. Sometimes when they've been harmed, sort of stabbed or injured and they're in accident and emergency, or possibly when they're being excluded from school. These moments are normally applied when thinking about young people who are being criminally exploited and are possibly involved in sort of county lines drug supply. And with these young people, when they have been exploited, what will normally happen is there's a period of grooming that takes place where county lines, drug supply lifestyle is made to look very attractive, and it appears as though there's a sort of friendship and support and a peer network that a young person gets drawn into. And what that means is that they may then be resistant to offers of support because they don't necessarily see the risks that lie alongside being involved in sort of drug supply. Or sometimes they do see the risks, but actually it's too dangerous, it's too difficult for them to get out because there are risks of harm that happen if a young person tries to leave that particular group. So a teachable moment will occur when something significant has happened to that young person, and usually something significant and negative. And that means that all of a sudden they are thinking about what's happened to them, they're thinking about their life, and they're possibly wanting to think about how they might make changes. What will normally happen is that if they're in police custody, if they're in accident and emergency, there would be a skilled worker that would work in that particular environment. Quite often these are youth workers who've got a sort of wealth of experience about how to engage with a young person, how to get alongside them and help that young person to talk. Some of the experience necessary is absolutely critical, because you will have a young person that is in a period of crisis. If you imagine somebody's been stabbed, they'll be in a lot of pain. If they're in police custody, they may be incredibly scared of what might happen. And so the worker needs the ability to engage with a young person that's feeling very scared, does not know what's happening to them or what will happen to them in their future. What that worker will do is talk with that young person, provide a sense of reassurance and calm, and I think at that young person's pace, start to help them to think about what they might want to do and offer support. And that support will be there not just while they're in custody or in the hospital, but actually will then continue on into the community, because there's a potential for a relationship to be struck, to be made at that point. And one of the things we know is that it's the relationship that is key for helping a young person to change or to grow and move away from any particular lifestyle or behaviours. I think what is critical in a teachable moment is not just the skills of the worker, but the support that worker has. If you imagine that you're a youth worker working in an accident and emergency department, you will be working with young people who potentially have life-threatening injuries. You know, what you will see, what you will experience will be traumatic for that worker. They will need a very structured support network that sits behind them so that we can look after the workers just as much as we can look after the young people.